Coming up this morning on the Dattitude podcast, even the most casual of golf fans at some point this weekend likely will turn on the Masters, even if it's only to see someone putt one off the green or get cremated by Amen Corner. Or maybe if you have a cheery, rosy attitude, you just want to see the azaleas in full bloom. Who would do that? Anyway, our own Scott Rabalais is standing by at Augusta National Golf Club, and he will be here with a preview and his best bets for the week, as will Uncle Big Nick. It's been a while since we've seen him. Lastly, Gabe will be here to do what just about all of us did at some point Monday. Go off on the refs, who turned a competitive, fun game to watch into a free throw shooting contest. Let's just say it didn't go well for us Houston Cougs. Did I say that? Did you hear it? Oh, I wasn't supposed. Well, I was supposed to say that a lot. Anyway, of course, we're also going to have Man versus the Machine, and I'm debuting a segment called The Last Word. And living in a household that features 3 females, a dog, and me, it's the only way I can get the last word. The first word is coming up soon after we listen to Phil for 36 seconds or so.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Since the NCAA tournament is over, got to hear it one more time, right? Just one more time. There it is. Won't hear that sound again until Derek Carr's first interception in the season opener, and the entire city of New Orleans goes ballistic.
See, I told you they should have drafted Shedeur Sanders.
How's that for a positive open? That's not good enough. There's always Dattitude, episode number 360, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Wednesday, April the 9th, 2025. I am your host, Jim Derry. 34 and a half years in the New Orleans sports media scene, although they have never invited me to the Masters. They're not going to let a West Banker step on Augusta National Golf Club. I mean, come on. It ain't happening. So I have to rest on the people that they will allow there from here, the Advocate. That's Scott Rabalais a little bit later this morning. We'll get into that in just a minute. I thank you all for being a part of this ever-growing Dattitude family. You know how you can be a part of the show. That's what's different about this show and a lot of the other shows. We actually let you talk here. I might get the last word, but we let you talk. You can type in your comment whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. And if you're watching on Facebook or you're listening after the fact, please, what are you waiting for? Go subscribe to our YouTube page, our Dattitude YouTube page. We're doing the shorts are picking up, man. I told you that quarterback short the other day, the 20. Y'all like that one. We're going to have a lot more of those coming up. We're trying to do closes just about every day. Shorts closes. We're trying to do shorts every day and pick that up. Been doing pretty well. Also on TikTok, we had quite a few thousand views on our quarterback short on the TikTok page. Anyway, what's coming up today? You know what's coming up today. You see Scott Rabalais is on the show. Uncle Big Nick's going to be here. Been a while since we talked to him. It's going to be about, I don't know, half Masters, about 35% Saints and 15% fun. Just flat out fun. That's what we're going to do this morning. Of course, we're going to take your comments. That's all coming up. A couple things, news this morning. Did any of y'all see the crazy, I used to be a bigger hockey fan than I am now, but I still try to pay attention. Did y'all see the crazy Vancouver Canucks comeback? Whenever Dallas gets screwed at something, I just kind of like revel in it, even if it is the Dallas Star. You still just kind of enjoy it, right? And if you didn't see it, I was going to go get the highlights, but the shortest highlights package I could find was like 3 minutes long. And I'm like, I'm not cutting this up this morning. I didn't have time to cut it up, but go look for it. Even if you don't care about hockey, go find it. The Vancouver Canucks trailed the Dallas Stars 5-2 And this isn't baseball where you can hit a 3-run homer or a grand slam. No, they trailed in hockey 5-2 with 59 seconds left and won. They tied it up, I think, with, I don't know, they scored a goal. Even without an empty net, they hadn't even pulled their goalie. They were like giving up. The first goal they scored, they didn't pull the goalie. They just scored with 59 seconds left. Then they pulled the goalie, had an extra scorer in there, scored with, I think, 20-something seconds, 26 or 28 seconds left. It was 5-4. And then they scored the winning goal with like 2 seconds left in just a crazy fashion. And then they won it in overtime. Again, if you can revel in Dallas's misery, by all means do it. It's a great, just fun. It's just fun. The Cleveland Cavaliers last night, by the way, they clinched the number 1 seed for the first time ever without a guy named LeBron James. Good for them. Cavaliers are going to be number 1 in the East, a 135-113 win over the Bulls. Will they be able to beat the Celtics? They had that ridiculously hot start and rolled to the number 1 seed. Good for them. And then the other big news around the world of sports is not a good one. You know, the tragedy. It seems like once every week or every other week, we're talking about a tragedy here in the Open, and we got another one. And I'm sure most of you saw it. In case you didn't, tragedy in the Dominican Republic as a roof collapsed at a nightclub. The AP said about 45 minutes ago, I went online, looked it up. At least 124 people have died. Another 200 plus are injured. And one of the deaths included former Major League Baseball closer Octavio Dotel, who, I mean, he was on a couple of my fantasy teams for sure. Just some sad news, and it seems like there were other Major League players that were injured, other Dominican dignitaries. Apparently, this was like a big-time nightclub in the DR, and I've been there. I've been to not to that nightclub, but I've been to the DR. Just a sad moment. So everybody, prayers go out to them for sure this morning. That is the news of the morning. Again, we're going to spend about half the show talking about Masters, about the other half talking about the Saints. Or got to let Gabe get in his rant, because I actually agree with him. You know, a lot of times the Gabe and I don't agree on stuff, and I mean, it's just ridiculous. If you watch the game on Monday night, what was it? I typed it in somewhere. Anyway, it was like 4 fouls in the first half, and I think 26 in the second. And that's just, it's not possible that that's logistically realistic. Not that all those words go together. West Bank chat. I don't, just doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense. We're going to get to that. That's going to be in Gabe's segment. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that in the Open. We are going to talk Saints to start. I got some interesting went to the Saints page, the actual Saints webpage. They have a list of all the players that have been mocked. I don't know where they got all these mocks. Let's see how many they have. They have of mocks that were done. I don't know. I'm not going to add all this up, but very quickly at the top, it looks like there's about 35 mocks they use. And they tell you who has been taken, who the Saints are going to take according to these mocks, how many times. We're going to go. That's going to be how we start off the show, with some comments in just a minute. Before we get to the rest of the show, of course, we got to talk about my friends. You know my friends over at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your business, your family-run or privately held business, that is. Just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. It's what they do. If that's you or someone you know, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt. We don't know if there's any truth to the rumors that Nick Braden was a late entry into the Masters. We're trying to check into that. I think he has a green shirt somewhere. Anyway, they will start by scheduling a complimentary evaluation from their offices, either on Poynter Street or in Lafayette. From there, you will be well informed, begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. I mean, it's a lot easier than tackling Amen Corner. What happens after all that? Well, we'll fill you more later in the show after Scott Rabalais is on here. But in the meantime, you can check him out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right, let's get to our comments this morning, or some of them anyway. Showing well. Gary, good morning. It's a bit chilly. Uncle Big Nick is thrilled it's chilly. Look, it's that time of year when you go look at the forecast and you say, unless you just hate the cold like Uncle Big Nick, I hate the heat. So it's when I look at the forecast and I say, I better enjoy this week because this is it. I mean, this is it. Ain't going to happen. Charles, good morning. Dattitude family. Yeah, he's talking about the head coach of the Nuggets getting fired. What the hell is going on, Gabe? We'll talk about that maybe later. We'll touch on it. Mark Gapsky, good morning. Hell no on Shedeur Sanders. It's Masters Week. Look, and Gabe was texting me yesterday about, now Adam with Schefter is getting all fired up now. He's getting involved. It makes sense. He's stirring up the talk. He's stirring up the talk because he's hearing these things. Why is he hearing things? I'm telling you. And look, if I'm wrong, you'll want to tune in the live show. If the Saints draft Shedeur Sanders, you're going to want to tune in to the live show on draft night that we'll have here on Dattitude's YouTube page and on the Saints Insider page. Basically, everywhere you're watching the show now, the live show will be broadcasted as well. I'm just saying. I think that media members are trying to will it into existence. And I told you this the other day, and I said this on Eric Asher's show Monday afternoon. Deion Sanders knows that if Shedeur Sanders falls past the Saints at 9, he might drop a long way. If you look at that list, it might be a long drop for Shedeur Sanders if he goes past 9. By the way, Mark, what happened in that Cubs? Oh, yeah, that's the Cubs-Padres series. Oh, we talked about that the other day. JC, hello from Denver. It's 72 degrees in Denver, Colorado. It's, what is it? 67 here. It's cooler in Mandeville. Earl's Picks. Good morning. Caught me on time today. Glad to have you here. William, please explain why the Saints would draft the 45th ranked player. I'm assuming you mean Shedeur Sanders. According to PFF at 9, you don't get the Sanders hype. Well, again, I'm not for Shedeur Sanders. I want to make that clear. The Saints don't need a quarterback. However, the reason why you would draft him is if you do want a quarterback, again, I don't think the Saints should draft a quarterback. We're going to get into it more. If he's not getting past, he's not going to get to you in the second round. You're not going to get him at 40. So that's why you would draft him there at 9. He's ranked by a lot of mocks I've seen have him going the Giants at 3. Again, that's not what I want the Saints to do, but that's why you would do it. Dylan Smith, let's go. UBN's comment and feels pointless to comment, but see you soon. Yeah, we'll see you soon. What else we got here? Apathy. Good morning. Sanders' pedigree alone is why you gamble at 9 if he's there. See, there you go. There's a dissenting argument. Again, I don't agree, but we don't all have to agree. In fact, I don't want us to all agree. What kind of boring show would that be? Carr has not played a full season since he's been a Saint. Excuse me? What are you talking about? First of all, he's only been a Saint for 2 years. Second of all, what did he miss a game in 2023? All right, now see, you're making me go to live, doing stuff on live TV again. He played in all 17 games in 2023. Why does this keep coming up, by the way? Why do people keep saying that? That's not true. First of all, people say he's injury prone, and that's not true. He's not injury prone. You know why he's been injury prone since he's got here? Because his offensive line has sucked. I told you before the season they were going to get him killed. It's a miracle he played in as many games as he did. Don't get me started already. You know what? Anyway, you see what's coming up today. Masters Picks and Previews, UBN's top plays, Rab's top plays, man versus the machine, and again, the last word. Let's get to the slide. We're just going to jump into it since that's what most of the comments are this morning. And when I say will it into existence and I ask the question, We got a couple of Wills up there on the screen. Will Johnson, Will Campbell. Will the Saints draft Will Johnson or Will Campbell? Now, I mean, I wouldn't go ballistic if they drafted Will Johnson. The Saints need a cornerback. But I think they need a Will Campbell more. Will he even make it to 9? I don't know. Will Armand Membu make it to 9? So I got a few more comments to show, and then we're going to get into – we only have about 5 minutes before a wrap comes on, so we may have to finish this later. But the Saints website has, again, about 30, 35 mock drafts or something like that, and who each one of those mock drafts, they don't list them by name, but they just tell you how many times a player has been selected by the Saints in the mock draft. Saint for Life is saying, let's get into it now. Brian Cavett says, good morning. Hell no one for him on Sanders as well. But back to Apathy's comment. Carr's not played a full season since he's been a Saint. Not true. He's only been here for 2 years. 1 year he played an entire season. The other year, last year, his offensive line get him killed. He's going to get injured at some point. I don't want to see more Rattler. Well, I agree with you on that. William says still doesn't get the hype, especially when more highly ranked players the Saints could use, like an O-lineman, defensive players will be on the board at 9. They could still draft the quarterback at 40 or 71. Amen. Agree. Cecil Evans, 15 more sleeps until Mel Kiper Jr. makes an ass of himself for 30 years plus and counting. That's the comment of the week, Cecil. Is it Cecil or Cecil? Anyway, that's the comment of the week. Thankful I says Tyler Warren is the man. Let's go grab the best offensive weapon in this draft. I definitely don't agree with that. I mean, again, I'll tell you what I told you Monday. If they draft Tyler Warren, I'm going to roll I'm not going to like, oh, what an awful pick. I won't say that because it wouldn't be an awful pick. But the Saints have so many more needs than Tyler Warren. It's the same as quarterback. It's no different than drafting Shedeur Sanders. The Saints have their needs. If you go and list of needs, quarterback's like 8th on the list. Tight end's probably like 5th. Even if you go by weapons, you can't use your weapon unless you can block for your quarterback who can get it to your weapons. No, just don't agree. It may happen. I'll tell you what the mock draft say in just a minute. John Pace, good morning. Jason Foray. Sanders may have Geno production, but most of the public will hate him more because the national media will act like he's Lamar or Josh Allen level. He sells tickets in NOLA like he did in Colorado. Will he sell tickets, though? Do the Saints need to sell tickets? I mean, they're still sold out. They're going to sell out. They don't need to sell tickets. I hear what you're saying. I'm on your side. So don't get me wrong when I talk like that. I just don't think that's the reason why the Saints, if they go draft Shedeur Sanders, the reason why they draft him is going to be because Kellen Moore wants him. That's going to be the reason. It has nothing to do with ticket sales or what else they want to do. I'm not getting getting into if you're bashing Derek Carr and you don't make sense and you don't make sense. It's not true. People keep talking about stuff and bringing up the whole him diving for a first down again. He was trying to help his team, you dummy. If he doesn't hustle and bust his ass, then you're going to get on him because he didn't hustle and bust his ass. Oh, he should have dove there. Get out of here. I hate hearing that. I see that on social media all the time. It bothers the hell out of me. Nola Man. All right, the Saints owe me some commission here. Nola Man says he didn't let his season tickets go. I gave him hope. What do we say, Nola Man? Without hope, life is meaningless. It is. Rab's not in the green room yet, so let me start this real quick. And again, if you want to go check it out yourself, all you have to do is do a Google search on Saints Draft. It's one of the first things that comes up. But it's from the Saints website, and it's their mock draft Monday from April the 7th, this past Monday. The most commonly mocked players, quote, and I'm quoting from their page, for the New Orleans Saints first-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, according to the latest mock drafts from, quote, NFL experts. You know what we think about NFL experts? It means it's no different than you or me sitting down and taking time to do a mock. They're no different than you or I. They're just not. Anyway, that being said, the number one player being mocked to the New Orleans Saints. And it's weird because I really haven't seen this, so I don't know which experts have said this. I mean, I've seen it, but not enough to be 10 out of 100. Let's add them up. 22 and 9 is 32. I mean, 22 and 9 is 31. Show math at work, baby. And 6 is 37. 41, 43, 45, 46. There's 48 mocks on here. Of the 48 mocks, 10 of them have Will Johnson going to the Saints. 6 of them have Will Campbell. 6 of them have Shedeur Sanders. So, and that's up because at the pre-combine, Shedeur Sanders, there were only 2 that had the Saints taking Shedeur Sanders. 4 in March, both March the 2nd through the 23rd and March the 24th through the 30th too. 4, excuse me. And now this latest go round, there are 6. 5 mocks have Ashton Genty. The Saints will never make it past the Raiders. 4 have Jalon Walker. 3 have Tyler Warren. Sorry. Saint for life. Only 3. Armin Membu is 3. Barron 2. Jackson Dart 2. Tedero McMillan 1. Others, McKell Williams, Shamar Stewart, Kelvin Banks, Mike Green, and we talked about Jihad Campbell the other day, Colston Loveland, all 1. And interestingly enough, Tedero McMillan, March 2nd through 23rd, there were 16 mocks that had the Saints taking Tedero McMillan. He has been rising up the draft board, which is why he's a little bit lower now. As I make a text here, trying to check out where Rab's at this morning. So anyway, that's where the mock draft, again, from the experts. Mama Roo, good morning. You finally caught me live. Well, I'm glad you're here. Would you take the week off? Whatever the reason, we're glad you're here. Glad you're part of the Dattitude family. Who that daddy's here? Who's this we, Kimo Sabi? We are 100% on Shedeur watch. No, you're 100%. I'm just messing with you. I guess we all have to be. We're all on a lot of watches. Will Johnson watch. Will Campbell watch. Again, some of y'all just hate Derek Carr so much. You'd rather reach for Will Howard in the first round. That's how much y'all hate Derek Carr. Y'all saw that the rat didn't work out. The rat fans are like, I don't know, let's go draft Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart or somebody. Give me somebody. Give me somebody. Lord. Apathy says, rather see a player get hurt fighting for a first down than Mark Ingram pulling that crap against the Bucs. We stepped out right behind the mark, and it cost them a game. Amen, brother. William says, we heard it here first. I don't know that would be first, but we heard it here. Will pulling for a Will. It will be Will Campbell to the Saints. Take it to the bank. I just don't know that he's making it that far. I think if he does, I got to say, man, I don't know. Last year, I was certain they were going to take an offensive lineman, and I was betting on Fuaga because I didn't think the other ones would make it to the Saints, and that's what happened. It didn't. That doesn't mean that I'm an NFL expert because I got it right last year. Common sense told you that's who it would be. This year, common sense is tougher because you don't know if Membu or Campbell are going to make it to the Saints. So that's what common sense would tell you. It's going to be one of those 2 guys. But what if they don't make it there? What if Shedeur's sitting there at 9? The 2 tackles are gone. You haven't traded up. Tyler Warren's gone. Will Johnson's gone, which probably all those things probably aren't going to happen. Same for life. Jackson Dart could definitely still be there at 40. I could definitely still be here when I'm 80. I doubt it, but it's possible that I'll still be doing this when I'm 80. Oh, you mean not when he's 40 years old? You mean in the draft at pick number 40? Possible. Saint for life. Will Johnson is overrated and injured prone. Hope that doesn't happen. Good morning, Phil. Glad to have you here. Who dat daddy's making guarantee? We got a lot of guarantees. Somebody's guarantee is going to be wrong. They might all be wrong. Who dat daddy says he guarantees we pick Shedeur Sanders on or before 9. Just pulling my chain. You're just pulling my chain on because you're not pulling my chain. I know you don't like Derek Carr. We've had this conversation before. JC says AK-41 was in Boulder yesterday. What's Kamara doing in Boulder? What else? Rab, by the way, is having internet trouble. We will be here in just a minute. Phil says he's a Derek Carr fan. He will make a difference with a decent offensive line draft. Maybe. I hope so, because Lord knows I'm going to catch a lot of grief if they go draft a Will Campbell or a Membu and they move and they do all these things that I've been talking about, especially if they draft Will Campbell. If they draft Will Campbell, they move Fuaga back to right tackle, which I don't know if they would do that or not, but I think good chance. And then you just try Penning at left guard. If they did that and it didn't work and Derek Carr got just cremated or threw like 4 picks in the first 2 games, I'd get killed on this show. I'd get blasted. And honestly, I'd probably deserve it. I would tell you that I deserve it. I would just take it. I'd show every comment. I'd let Who Dat Daddy give me all kinds of grief. Big Sean would probably be in here giving me grief too. Everybody, all the hate, apathy would get piling on. Sean, also, there's another Sean that comes back. He hates Derek Carr. He would give me grief. I would just take it. I'd have to. Lance, good morning. Yes, I would. I know. I would just take it. Brian wants to know if Kamara's old strength coach is there now inside Scott. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't have anything better to do. Williams says the problem with the so-called NFL draft experts is they don't have a copy of the Saints draft board. Also true. I don't think any of us do, right? Dylan Smith says Kamara and Dion are dabbing it up. Maybe. Again, I look, I know to the Shedeur Sanders thing, and then this has really picked up steam. We talked about it Monday, and then again, we saw the Schefter thing afterwards, and it's just picking up steam. And I really think it's one of 2 things. It could be one of 3 things. All right. I'm going to give you, here's the third thing. I'm just flat out wrong. The Saints do want Shedeur Sanders. Absolutely possible. Certainly not that I've never been wrong before. But the other 2 possibilities with Shedeur Sanders are the media, especially this local media, building it up so much. Schefter's kind of catching on to the local media. The local media doesn't like Derek Carr either. They're not going to come out and tell you that, most of them. But they don't. They don't want status quo, okay? And they think that Derek Carr is status quo. I don't think Derek Carr is status quo if you get an offensive line and maybe one more big weapon on offense. I think this team can be changed. But that's not with them. So I think it's either that, media building up because they want Carr gone too, just like a lot of you do. Or I really think this. You know, I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day. We were talking about Deion Sanders, and Deion Sanders, he's no fan of the Saints. Okay. He played for Atlanta, played for Dallas, he played for San Francisco. 3 teams. If you go back in time, I mean, it's kind of similar today, but not as much. San Francisco goes, we used to be in the same division if you didn't, for younger people don't remember. So he played for 3 teams that the Saints, if you pick the 3 teams the Saints disliked the most back in when he was playing, you could probably throw the Rams in there too, but it would be Falcons, Niners, Cowboys, not necessarily in that order. Falcons are number 1. And then you could throw the Rams in there. So 4 teams. He played for 3 of them. So he didn't like the Saints. The Saints didn't like him. Saints fans didn't like him. And he probably didn't like the Saints. But now he's saying he likes black and gold and he's trying to will Shedeur to the New Orleans Saints. Why would that be? Because he sees Shedeur's name dropping down the draft list. Again, you go past 9. And let's call it up here. Doing this again, live TV. But you call up the order as of right now. After the Saints, Bears at 10, they don't need a quarterback. Niners at 11, don't need a quarterback. Cowboys don't need a quarterback. Dolphins don't need a quarterback. Colts kind of need one, but won't draft one. Falcons certainly don't. Cardinals don't. Bengals don't. Seahawks, maybe, probably not. Buccaneers could draft one, probably not. Broncos definitely don't. Steelers do. So if Shedeur Sanders doesn't get picked at 9, he's probably going to fall to 21 and maybe the Steelers. And then what happens if the Steelers don't take him? Then he's out of the first round, most likely. So this is why he's getting hyped up more. So maybe Dion's the inside info. Maybe Dion's telling Schefter, again, this is all hypothetical. All this crap, all this mock draft crap is hypothetical anyway. So I'm giving you my hypothetical. But it makes sense, doesn't it? You're looking at that list and you're like, oh my goodness. If he doesn't go to the Saints and 9, who else wants a quarterback? Well, 21 or bust. So it's kind of like 9, 21 or second round. Who that daddy said, you guaranteed the Saints wouldn't pass him up. You can't guarantee anything in this draft. The only thing, I don't even think this is a guarantee that the Titans take or Cam Ward goes number 1. You can't even make that a guarantee. Probably going to happen. I think it's something like minus 2,000 or something like that. Anyway, we got a bunch of comments on here. Apathy says Schefter started when he said Giants and Browns probably aren't drafting a quarterback with their first pick. I'm starting to think that Schefter's getting in the same. He's been wrong a lot lately. We're going to start keeping a scorecard for him. All right, we're going to come back to Saints. We're going to spend a lot of time. We still have a lot of time to talk about Saints later this afternoon. This morning. It'll be this afternoon by the time we get back to Saints. But I do want to talk about the Masters, and I do want to preview it. I know a lot of you aren't huge golf fans. A lot of you are. It doesn't matter. It's my favorite tournament of the year. That and TPC. Close on both of them. But how can you not like the Masters? Scott Rabalais, how is Augusta National treating you?
Well, it's been going great until I try to sign up for
this
show, and I'm having trouble with the internet.
Well,
I'm here.
We're glad you're here, and I think there might be a little delay, and you can hear me. So I'll ask you a question, then I'll try to just let you answer and go up. But just give me a scene of, for those like me, they'll never let a West Bank guy step foot on the grounds of Augusta National. I know this already, so I have to live vicariously through you, Scott Rabalais. Just give me kind of a scene setter on what's going on. I know today's practice day as we get fired up. Tomorrow's the first round. But what is the scene like on the day before the tournament starts?
Well, I mean, it's, they had a lot of rain on Monday, well over an inch of rain, but it's hard to even tell. Probably knocked a few azaleas off the bushes, but it's really the course looks spectacular. The one difference from this year from past years is the lack of trees in some areas. That Hurricane Helene that hit the Florida Gulf Coast came up through here and last fall and really did a number on Augusta, pretty badly. There were a number of trees. You can tell, like left of the 10th hole, right of the 16th green. You can see from behind Amen Corner through to Augusta Country Club, which is behind it, which you never could see before. And the players have said a little bit, it's, probably made some of the holes a little straighter. They don't have to bend the ball around some holes. A little bit, generally hasn't affected play too much, but it's definitely affected the look of the course. And it kind of flies in the face of the people who say they ice the azaleas every year and stuff like that. As much as these guys who run Augusta National are masters of the universe, they don't have control of Mother Nature, and so it's a little bit different. I don't know. I don't think people will notice on television. I really don't think they're going to notice that much, but it is a little noticeable when you've been here and seen that there's just not quite as many trees there. But the grounds look great. The playing surfaces look great. The fairways, the bunkers, the greens, they all look great. So that'll be the same when they get the tournament started tomorrow.
How do the azaleas look? Are they in full bloom? I saw some pictures. It looks pretty good from the pictures that I've seen so far.
Sorry,
Did you lose
again,
me?
I'm just having a bad connection here. I'm sorry. I didn't
Can you hear me
that
now?
question.
Can you hear me now? I'll tell you what. Hold on 1 second. We're gonna. Here's what we can do. Live TV.
Yeah. I like
Can
my
you hear me now?
backspace key on my keyboard. Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So look, why don't we do this in case we lose track of one another again? I want you to I'll let you go off and talk for a couple of minutes here, but tell me, obviously the favorites are Rory and Scotty, and then there's the field, but is it going into it? Is it that easy? Is it Scotty, Rory, or someone? I mean, those two got to be the big favorites. Do you like those two guys, or do you think it's going to be someone else?
Yeah, I got most of what you're asking me. I see the header, Scotty, Rory, or the field. It's so easy to pick the field, right? Scotty Scheffler is still the betting favorite. Rory McIlroy is the sentimental favorite because he's going for the Grand Slam and his first Masters win. But it's so hard to win. Scotty's trying to win 3 out of 4. It's only been done once. Jack Nicklaus did it back in the 1960s. He's trying to win back to back. That's only been done by Jack, Tiger, and Nick Faldo. So it's difficult. So just the history of it is stacked up against Scheffler. Rory just has never won here. I'm starting to be convinced he never will for whatever reason. It's not that he doesn't have the game for it, but it's really hard to do. There's only 5 guys who've won all 4 majors. It's because it's really hard to do. And I heard Randall Chambly on Golf Channel when I was getting ready to come out here this morning. He was talking about strokes gained tee to green is a very important stat. And the 3 best guys on tour this year in that stat are Colin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, and Scotty Scheffler. So I think you got to start with one of those guys. So if I'm not picking Scheffler, I think I would pick Colin Morikawa. I know he hasn't won this year, but he's got a great iron game and obviously has won majors. So he's not going to be too faded.
Well, we lost Scott there. He's having some issues. It's okay. We got UBN coming on in just a minute. But yeah, I mean, you talk about where he's coming from when you're talking about Scotty, Rory, or the field. I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, you're going to take the field. I mean, that's the easiest thing to do, right? And if you look at the odds, you get Scotty, you get McIlroy at plus 400 for Scotty, plus 650. There's no, in my opinion, there's no value taking either one of those guys, those numbers. If maybe McIlroy, maybe, I don't know. We got Rab back. Let's try to get him back on and see if we can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's completely okay. We have made it. We have tied ourselves to where we are so tied to our phones and internet and everything. Used to be a lot easier when we could just type and send in a story.
That's what it is about this place. You can only use your phone in very specific places. Yes. And I'm starting to think this studio they set me up in is one of those places where you can't.
Well, you can't use your phone.
Yeah, no. This seems a little better, so hopefully we'll get through it.
Well, I want to ask you more specifically, say Scotty, Rory, the field. I really want to ask you, and I was talking about there's really no value on betting any of those two guys if you're just talking about betting. But I do want to talk about Rory for a minute because obviously he has been a story of having a chance. He's just trying to finish that career Grand Slam. It's been talked about over and over and over again, and it seems like when he gets close, something happens, and I don't know what it is. Maybe you can explain it but is this the year? I mean, he's getting older. He's not going to have a ton of more chances, realistic chances anyway.
Very true. And Jim, again, talking about, I was talking earlier about how history is kind of against Scotty Scheffler winning 3 out of 4, which is hard. Rory, this is his 17th Masters. Only one Masters champion has played in more Masters before he won his first, and that was Sergio Garcia in 2017. He won on his 19th try. He obviously started playing as a teenager, playing here as an amateur, I think. So it's usually if you've won it, if you're going to win it, you've done it by now,
right?
And so I think the average number of times that someone's played in the Masters, and you don't be a rookie. Rookies don't win the Masters. No one's done that since '79. But you want to have some experience. And he's in his prime, obviously. He's had a great year. He won at Pebble Beach. He won the Players. He's never probably been on better form coming in here. But it's been a long time. It's 2014 PGA, the last time he won a major. He's had more top 10 finishes since 2015 than any other player. He's got 21 and no wins. And it's just, I don't know. We saw him last year here. He just wasn't quite in contention. He went to the U.S. Open, led by DeChambeau with two with 4 to play, and bogeyed 16 and 18, missed those short putts, and just a crushing defeat. Man, he's got some scars, I guess, Jim. I guess what I'm saying, it's that have added up, that maybe somebody like Ludwig Oberg, who was the runner-up last year, he felt great about being a runner-up in his first time at Augusta. Are you kidding? And he's a trendy pick this year. He's a very talented player. He's ranked in the top 10 in the world. He's a very trendy pick, and it wouldn't shock me to see him win here. But he doesn't have all that scar tissue that I think has built up with Rory over the years. And like I said, I'm rooting for the story. I think it would be great to see him win. And certainly, obviously, he's another guy. He's one of the co-champions of last year's Zurich Classic, and they're all excited about him coming back in 2 weeks. But just something always seems to get in the way, and I think that's a lot of history, a lot of baggage to overcome.
I'm still a little bitter with Ludwig Oberg because I actually had him to win it all last year. I had some really good odds last year, and then just missed. But he did very well. What about Bryson? Obviously, you talk about live guys that we don't necessarily see all the time. John Rahm and DeChambeau among the top 8. But Bryson finished tied for 6th last year. He got close. He had one really good day. I think it was day 2 or day 3. I can't remember exactly, but
he led after the first round. He led at 65. Yeah,
I knew he had one really good day. But what kind of chance do you give someone like that? Or maybe people don't see Rahm every day, so maybe there's value at plus 1,300, which means 13-1 for those who don't bet all the time. But because they don't see those guys as much.
Yeah, it's very interesting to live guys, and there's I think 12 of them in the field. The argument is that they don't go up against the kind of pressure cooker that you have on the PGA Tour. The same number of players certainly is not the same. Let's say level of competition. Bryson, I said had a good finish last year, but apparently that first round was a bit of an anomaly. ESPN's got the Masters has Elias Sports Bureau churning out some stuff for him. 65 was his only par or better round over his last 10 rounds at the Masters. So that's and look, the guy can win. He's a great player. He's won 2 U.S. Opens, and those are as tough a conditions as you can have. But maybe something just doesn't quite suit him about this course. I don't know. So I would not stay away from John Rahm. John Rahm's he's got good numbers on the Live Tour. What's that worth? What does that mean? Certainly he's won here. He's a 2-time major champion as well. Once you have tasted victory here, I think it's probably easier to feel like you're going to be in contention. But is he seasoned enough? Is he getting enough competition out on the Live Tour? I don't know. I mean, we've seen these guys compete. Bryson won a major last year. John won 2 years ago here at Augusta. But I don't know. It's that was before he went to Live, of course. But I don't know. I'm not feeling it for those guys.
I hear you. Jason Foray says Rory's mental approach seems a lot stronger. We'll see if he can handle the Masters pressure come Sunday. If he's in contention, Rory finishing top 5 at even money feels pretty good. It's actually not even money. He's plus 150 to finish in the top 5. So maybe there's value there. Rory finishing in the top 5.
I could see that. He was running up to Scheffler in 2022. Had that great final round, shot a 64. Pitched in out of the bunker on 18. It was really came out of nowhere. He was not in contention. Didn't really press Scheffler. I think Scheffler still won by 3. But he can do it. I mean, he can win the other 3 majors, the U.S. and British Opens and the PGA. You can win here. It's just he seems to have tried to just listening to him talk yesterday at his press conference. He seems to have tried to insulate himself from some of the disappointments and just kind of say you move on. Like as if to say I left the U.S. Open disappointment behind me last year. Move on, but it's just the pressure seems to build. And he said it's just it's external. It's storylines. It's narratives, as he said.
Right.
But I can't believe you don't internalize some of that. I can't believe you don't.
Well, I want to spend a couple minutes talking about LSU. So my last Masters question is here, and you've kind of hinted towards it. But who is your pick? If you had to pick, I'm gonna give you one pick, and you can pick a favorite if you want. You can pick someone else, but are you taking Scotty, Rory, or someone else in the field? And if it's someone else in the field, who do you like most? I'm putting you on the spot.
Now I'm losing you again, Jim. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Let me know. I'm gonna give you one more shot here if you can hear me. Otherwise, we're gonna have to. Can you hear it? No. Nope. I tell you what, live radio. Here we go. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, we do this on live TV. We don't care if there's dead air. It doesn't matter to us if there's a little dead air.
One LSU question.
Last LSU. Go ahead. You can read it up there. Do or die for Kelly in 2025? Yes or no?
Oh, I mean, I don't think he's getting fired or anything like that, but I think it's the college football playoff, the new expanded format with 12 teams has made it very pass-fail for teams like LSU. If you're in the playoff, you've had a successful season. You pass. If you don't make it, you failed. And I think there was some of that last year, and I think it's certainly that way for LSU this year with the number one transfer portal class and Garrett Nussmeier coming back and being a prime Heisman candidate. I mean, they got to fit all these pieces together. I mean, there's a lot of. I think it's a talented team, and I think they've improved themselves at some key positions like edge rusher. Harold Perkins coming back. Will he be effective after injury? Whit Weeks. Looks like they may have improved the secondary, but they've lost some key receivers and offensive linemen, tight end Mason Taylor. All these pieces have to fit, and if they do, they can. But boy, you got another tough opener right off the bat. I mean, the season,
yes, they do.
You would say, you could shake that off, but God, you really put yourself behind the 8 ball because you can't figure you can go more than 10-2, worse than 10-2, and make the playoff. And so if you lose at Clemson, you've only got one more week where things can go awry. So it's a lot of pressure for LSU. They've brought Kelly knows it. I think Kelly knows it as well as anyone. And he's got the big contract, so he's getting the money. But I think they're trying to win. They're trying to do everything they can to win. And if they can, they can be a playoff team, certainly. But it's all the pieces have to fit together, and it certainly would help if they could win that game at Clemson to start the season.
If you can hear me, Rab, I got one more question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my last question for you is, will Will Campbell make it to 9? And if so, do you think the Saints would draft him at 9?
Yeah, I mean, he's this short arm thing. It's kind of
right.
There's not going to be. Yeah, I think he could. But as someone mostly covers LSU, doesn't cover the Saints much. They just seem to have some aversion to drafting a lot of LSU guys. I know they got Foster Moore on the team, so no, I think they pass on him at 9.
Unfortunately, I actually agree with you. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're wrong, because really that's what the Saints need most, but we'll see if it happens. I'm glad we can make it through some of the technical difficulties. Rab, enjoy the week, and we look forward to your coverage in the Advocate, on the Masters, all week long. Scott Rabalais live from Augusta National. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
We'll talk to Scott later, and again, I hope and again, something I would love to do, definitely on my bucket list. It just is. I mean, and how could it not? Even if, again, for the casual fan, even if you're just a casual fan, you don't love golf, but you love sports, wouldn't that be on your list? It's like, I was talking the other day, I don't like auto racing at all. I really don't. If someone gave me a chance to go to the Daytona 500, though, I would go. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily on my bucket list, but I would probably go. I'm just not an auto fan. I'm not a huge boxing fan, but if there was some big boxing match, I would probably go. I'm not a big soccer fan, but if the World Cup were being played around anywhere within driving distance from around here, and I know it was in Dallas back 30 years ago or whatever it was, I didn't have a chance to go then. I was younger and dumb anyway. Now that I'm older, I probably appreciate it more. I would go if I had a chance now. Not a big soccer fan. Some things you just do if you get a chance to do. And I think certainly the Masters would have to be on almost everyone's list. Anyway, we're going to, Phil wants to know what happened to Jordan Spieth. I'll ask you to be on that question in a minute. Kyle Sherman says that Spieth has struggled with his swing and dealt with a wrist injury last year. He's improving early in the season, but still struggling with consistency. But the thing is, Kyle, I saw him the way I saw Jordan Spieth at the beginning of last year. It looked like he was turning that corner. I thought he's going to win a major. I mean, he's already won majors. But I thought he was like getting back to his old form a little bit, and then he just kind of fell apart again. I don't know. Gabe says Dallas and Houston both have World Cup games in 2026. Maybe I'll go. Especially, I'd rather go to Houston than Dallas, but it's closer, and maybe that's a possibility. Maybe we'll do a Dattitude from the World Cup. What in the hell would that be like? That would be interesting. All right, before we bring in UBN and give you his best bets for the Masters, who's going to win the green jacket, make some money. You want to make some money? UBN will help you make some money. You know, also can help you make some money? Evangeline Securities. How can they do it? Well, they can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business is worth. And they can tell you, well, not tell you. They'll leave it up to you. Obviously, it's your decision. But they'll give you their best bet on whether it's time to sell. They ain't going to give you their best bet on the Masters. They're going to give you their best bet on whether it's time to sell your family-run or privately held business. It's up to you. How do they do it? Well, they give you a complimentary valuation of your company. And if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from, you guessed it, around the world. And they'll maximize the return for the farm for Klimt. They'll maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, none with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed, ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important, and that's the rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Okay, you want to make some money? Again, when we're done here, we still got to talk. We're going to talk to Gabe about the national championship game. And I want to get some of y'all's opinions later on if you agree with both of us that the refs were just, look, I'm not going to say, I'm saying they had an agenda or whatever, but how do you go from 4 first half fouls to 26 in the second half? That's going to come up. That's going to be Gabe's rant of the day. And then man versus the machine. Spoiler alert. It's going to be Gabe's Masters pick. And the way we're going to do it today is Gabe's going to give you his Masters pick, and I'm going to tell you what the machine picked. And whoever's closest to the top is going to get the win. So we won't know who that is until Monday, obviously. Duh. But first, you know who can tell us who's going to win the Masters? Uncle Big Nick can tell us who's going to win the Masters.
I thought you guys was going to be live from Amen Corner, so I made me some Amen Corner at 13. That way I make sure.
I don't know, but I'd like to hear you because your audio sucks right now. I'm just telling you. I can barely hear you. Yeah. But I'm glad you put pictures of Amen Corner in the background and you printed out and taped to your wall.
Can you hear me better now?
Nope. I mean, I can hear you barely, but we got all kinds of technical. We're just talking about, I don't know if that means our Masters picks are going to be really good or really bad, because Rab had his technical difficulties. Now UBN's having his.
I don't know. I don't know what to do to fix the technical difficulties.
I tell you what, I'm going to take you off for a minute. I'm going to go back to Saints for like 5-10 minutes and see if you can fix it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I do. We might as well go back to Saints for just a minute, because I know we had some Saints comments in there anyway. UBN live from a fish tank. That's exactly. SpongeBob's on the show today. Who knew? There was some Saints comments from earlier, and some of these people may not be here because I started talking about golf and they left. But we're still going to talk more about the Saints later as well. JC from before said this is not a hypothetical podcast, meaning when I was talking about all the possibilities about Dion and what, it's not a hypothetical podcast. But if the mock drafts can talk about hypotheticals, we sure can. We talk about reality. What makes sense? Dion not wanting his kid to go past 9 when he was supposed to be in the top 3 just a few weeks ago. Now it looks like, now he's like hoping the Saints going to pick him. Why? Because he's pretty sure the other 8 teams aren't. So he's throwing it out there as much as he can, because if he drops past 9, he's going to 21. If he doesn't go to the Steelers at 21, it's probably second round. I don't know. Who Dat Daddy says, what I'm going on is he lives in Dallas. He knows that Kellen Moore has a relationship with Dion from him coaching there. I mean, come on. Everybody's got, I would say of the 32 coaches in the NFL, I would be willing to bet. I don't know this. It's pure speculation, but probably 25 of them know Dion enough to text them if they wanted to and have some kind of relationship, quote unquote, relationship with him. I mean, come on. I don't think that has anything to do with anything. Who Dat Daddy says you being sound like his trunk of books. That's where we put him. Don't tell anybody. If you're listening to the pod after the fact, don't tell anyone that we put UBN in the trunk. That's where sometimes he belongs in the trunk. We're going to bring him back on in a minute. Make sure it's fixed. Hakeem, what's up, big dog? Glad to get you back here today. Lance Dobart said Shedeur Sanders would set us back 3 more at 9, sets us back 3 more years. That might be a little harsh. I mean, if you think about it, in the past, how many bad, and this team's different because it's not in as good a situation for some of these teams in the past, but the Saints have had bad drafts before. I don't know that any first round making any pick in the first round can actually set you back that far. Now, don't get me wrong. I am completely against it. I think it would be, Lance says the opportunity cost on a miss at 9 is massive. I think you're overrating how important that is. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean it. I think what you're saying is very reasonable. But I think people put too much stock in. It's a top 10 pick. Yeah, so what? Is there a big difference between 9 and 12? No. There's not even a big difference between 9 and 14, in my opinion. There's a big difference between 9 and 14, that's 5 spots. There's a big difference between 9 and 4 or 5, but there's not as big of a difference between 9 and 12, 13, 14, in my opinion. That being said, if you spend a ninth pick of the draft, again, this team isn't good enough to take. It used to be for a long time the Saints were good enough they would just take best player available, right? Well, whoever's the best player available, that's who you go and take. They can't do that right now. They're not good enough to do that right now. You have to take a need. Therefore, what are the Saints' biggest needs? In my opinion, it's in this order. It's offensive lineman, more specifically a tackle. After that, you probably got to go. You need either cornerback or defensive line. Either one of those are just as important, but I'd rather see him take an offensive player for an offensive coach that's coming here to be a rookie head coach. So that's why Will Johnson does make sense. And then after that, it's probably skill player, which I guess Tyler Warren, even though he's a tight end, would fit in there, which is why I wouldn't be, not like I'd be pissed if that happens. Charles, if you get in good O-line players and good D-line players, an average quarterback would look great. Oh, boy. We keep calling Derek Carr the average. I know sometimes we use stats, sometimes we don't. I guess I use them when they benefit me. I'm going to use them at this point. He's not an average quarterback. He's top 12 quarterback. That's not average. That's better than average, in my opinion. Before we move back into golf, Hakeem says he likes the devil in the draft those years. That guy is Milroe because of his athletic ability. I understand Loomis doesn't have the patience, but he could develop with his skill set. I think Milroe is going to have the potential. This is what I think Milroe's potential is. I think Milroe's potential is he could be Taysom Hill 2.0. So I don't have a problem with drafting Jalen Milroe later. Where does he go, though? Don't reach too high to get a Milroe. The problem is I think he's going to go before where I think the Saints are okay drafting him. I mean, you can't draft him in the first 2 rounds. You just can't spend that kind of capital when you have so many needs. I like Milroe as an athlete, and I think as a player, and I think he could be, again, I think he's a Taysom kind of player. If you need a quarterback as a backup, great. If you need a guy that can play receiver, great. If you need a guy that can do all sorts of things, I think Jalen Milroe can do that. That's my opinion. Lance says best player available. You can't draft best player available if it doesn't help. I mean, how many times do we have to do this? Say this. You could talk about whatever we're going to finish the show with Saints. I got to get to UBN and Gabe in just a minute because we're going on an hour here and we got probably 20 minutes with those guys. So 12:30, we'll probably be back to Saints around then. But I don't know how many times to say this. Nothing matters. Nothing. Who you draft doesn't matter if you can't block for your quarterback. Straight up. Just doesn't. You can say Trevor Penning was okay. You're trying to talk yourself into wanting to do the Saints do something quote unquote sexy. Okay. Even if you're okay with Carr and you want him to go draft Tyler Warren or you want to go draft Tedero McMillan or you want him to draft a running back, whatever. Again, I get it. It's not fun to draft we got an O-lineman. Big deal. Last year, Fuaga. What did people talk about after last year's draft? What did they talk about? They didn't talk about Fuaga. They didn't even really talk about Kool-Aid. No. What did they want to talk about? Spencer Rattler. That's what they wanted to talk about after last year's draft. Why? Because he's a skill player. He's a quarterback. He was different than Derek Carr. And if the Saints draft a Will Howard in the 5th round, this year they'll probably be talking about him if they don't draft any skill players before him. You can't do jack squat if you can't block for your quarterback, no matter who your quarterback is, whether it's Derek Carr, whether it's Spencer Rattler, whether it's Shedeur Sanders, whether it's Jackson Dart, no matter who it is. You can't do anything. And Trevor Penning wasn't good enough to play right tackle, not for a good team. He was good enough to play tackle for a 5-12 team. You got to get a lineman. Try Penning at guard. Great. Let Penning be a backup tackle. Somebody gets hurt. Fine. Wonderful. But if Carr doesn't get protected or whoever's playing quarterback doesn't get protected, whatever. Just saying. Let's see if I understand this. Who dat daddy? So wait, do we build a team, then get a quarterback for it? Or do we draft a quarterback and build a team around his strengths? No, you can't do anything until you shore up in the trenches. You can't. Earl's picks. The Saints don't go OL at 9. It would be really stupid because there are only 2 standouts at OL this year. Yeah, and the problem is if one of those 2 go before you draft, then you're in a world of something. Who Dat Daddy says Milroe's a gadget player and we have one already. The problem is, Who Dat Daddy, I don't know that Taysom Hill's ever going to play again. I don't think people realize how bad that injury was. It's bad. You don't just come back from those things. Hakeem says he thinks Will Johnson or Will Campbell should be the pick at 9 because those 2 guys need to be starters at 2 key positions they would be day 1 starters. 100% that either one of those guys would be day 1 start. 100%. Mal says he gets my point. On a good team, Penning's flaws will be masked better by playing with better talent. I don't. Sort of what happened with Mekhi Becton, who's not good either. And I don't think Mekhi Becton's flaws were masked, in my opinion. I just don't. All right, let's try this again. I'm going to wrap up the show with Saints. So we are not finished. I know we're all over the place this morning, but that's kind of who we are, right? We're a little OCD or ADHD, whatever you want to call it. We're all over the place, but that's where we are. So coming up again, about to put UBN back on. Gabe's up. We got an NCAA men's rant that I completely agree with him about. Man versus machine. Gabe's going to make his master's pick. And the machine's going to make its master's pick, and whoever finishes closest to the top is going to get the dub. And then the last word is me with the last word. It's a brand new segment. It's the only way I can get the last word. So I do it on my own show. So you got the middle word, UBN.
I'm scared. Is it working?
You still sound like you're in a wind tunnel or you're in the trunk of somebody's car or something.
Jesus.
That's better when you get closer to something. I think your issue is that I think your mic must be coming from your computer and you were too far away. But anyway.
Are we good now? I mean, can you everybody hear me? No.
You know what? Hang on. I'm going to try again. Boy, we're doing a lot of stuff this morning. Let me try this. Hang on. Audio for the,
guess
I think,
turning on the mic doesn't- turning
I
on the
know.
mic doesn't help.
Man, we got all kinds of issues. All right. How about I do this?
How about this? Is that better?
That's a little better.
Is that better?
I
It's
turned
saying that we
your,
can't test this except like this.
no, I turned your volume up as high as I can turn it up. Okay. Look, we're going to have to, I hate to do this to you, but we're going to probably have to just cut it short because it's not good. But so I want to get right into it. I want you to tell me of the guys on the, first off, of the guys on the screen, there are 8 guys on the screen. For those who can't see it, they'll listen to the podcast after the fact. These are the top 8 by DraftKings odds. Scheffler plus 400. And when I say plus 400, I mean 4-1. McIlroy plus 650. Rahm plus 1,300. Morikawa plus 1,600. Schauffele's plus 1,800. Bryson is plus 1,900. Ludwig Oberg is plus 2,000. And JT, Justin Thomas, is plus 2,500. Of those 8 guys, who do you like most?
I like Rory most, but I hate the number.
Yeah, so I mean, you and I are together. I like Rory. Somebody was talking about top 5, and I know that plus 150 isn't a great value, but for top 5, I actually think I'd rather bet that.
The thing with Rory is that the top 5 thing I get, but the whole thing with Rory, I'm not sure if I'm betting him now or if I'm gonna bet him live. Like
Yeah.
if he gets down by 5 or 6 strokes and his odds get better, the guy I love the most to bet right now of the top 8 is Justin Thomas.
Okay. Well, who's your overall top pick and why?
Overall top pick before the tournament is Justin Thomas.
Okay.
I love the way he's playing coming in. He just lost the tournament, but didn't seem like it bothered him much. Like he's got bigger things on his mind. He lost his caddy to a back injury, picked up Homer's caddy. There's a lot of factors involved with JT. He missed the last 2 cuts at the Masters, but one was weather related. One, he just missed a cut. He's playing a lot better now. He's not playing with Tiger. Finally, they put him with Tiger the last 2 years. I think it's too much for him to overcome with all the fanfare and everything with Tiger. So I think he's focused. He never did any media this week. I think he's really focused and coming in at the right time.
And I hate to cut your segment short, but I do want to get your I know you have an upset pick as well, and I like your upset pick. But tell me who it is and why you like that.
Upset pick. What you mean? Like
Yeah, you get a long shot. Yeah.
Yeah, long shot pick Lucas Glover. Lucas Glover hits the ball a mile, and his irons are really good. If he can get that long putter he uses that I hate, if he can get that going, I think he can do some damage here. And like a top 20, top 10 bet, you can get great odds on that.
In fact, as we're talking, I'm trying to get that right now as we speak. What happened to my? I had Masters up and it disappeared on me.
Everything's disappeared.
Man, it is one of those days where they're just trying to.
I'm just gonna blame the cold weather.
Somebody's sabotaging me here. All right, Lucas Glover, you can get him at DraftKings right now for plus 13,000, which means he's 130-1 to win, and he's plus 800. I mean, 8-1 to finish in the top 10. Man, all right.
You know I've hit those before, right?
You have hit those before, and I guarantee you, unlike me forgetting to go bet the women's championship game last Sunday, as soon as we get off the air here, I'm going to bet that. Lucas Glover, 130-1. I mean, I know you're probably going to put like $100 on it and brag to us if you hit.
Yeah, you know, Will.
But I might put $10 on it and have some fun with it. All right, closing thoughts. Is this your favorite weekend of the year?
It's my favorite Sunday of the year.
Yeah.
Super Bowl Sunday. I love it. I don't do anything this weekend. Nothing. I can't wait for winter to be over so you can retire that lumberjack shirt you're wearing. But
I wore it just for you because I
know
it's a little chilly outside
it's a
still.
Masters preview when you went red. Was that for Tiger?
Yeah, I'm still. Even though you and I have a bet, and so I hope Tiger finishes second in like every tournament he plays in.
If he ever plays again. The good thing about that bet, it goes on forever.
No, it only goes to the 2027.
Oh, okay. We did
through 2027. So
I got 2 more years.
Yeah, that's gonna be a nice Christmas present.
Yeah, I wish things were working better in here.
All right, next year, next time you come on, which will be soon. I don't know. We're gonna start doing our dumbass. Before then. I think we might have We're gonna get you to be part of the dumbass of the week. We're gonna have to. We just gotta test out our mics ahead of time.
How fitting is that? Just put me on for dumbass of the week.
Exactly, biggest dumbass. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, bye.
All right, UBN with mic issues. Still fun. We're definitely going to do the dumbass of the week segment. I don't know. It's not going to start this week. I may not start it till after the draft. We'll see. We're going to have fun with that. I promise you. Who would it be if it was this week? Who would be the dumbass of the week? I'm going to let y'all chime in too. Or maybe you can give me ideas or whatever. Dumbass of the week. All right. Definitely not a dumbass. Especially with this segment coming up, because I agree with what he's going to talk about here. Florida beats Houston 65-63. Those people who had the Houston tickets, I told you, because all three of us, Man, Machine, and me, we're all on Houston. Even with a 12-point lead, I was at poker. By the way, I had a great night at poker. That's a whole different story. So I did end up chopping my pool, but I would have won 100 more had Houston won. And then I won poker. It was a good night, but still a screw job of epic proportions. I don't think an intentional screw job. I don't want to say that, but just the way this game was played and played out, it was just not the way you want to see a national championship go.
It's horrendous. I mean, anyone who watched the first half was so much fun. It was really fun to watch both those teams go back and forth with their contrasting styles. Shots weren't falling at a high rate. So it was fun just to see the aggressive style of rebounding and great defense on both sides. It had a chaotic nature to it. And then in the second half, the referees just made it all about them. And I'm not just saying that as, someone who had picked and bet on Houston. And I'm not using that as an excuse either as to why Houston lost, because, I texted you immediately after, and I said Houston screwed themselves. But at the same time, the referees, this was just an inexcusable performance. It's just, as you said earlier, it's not possible to have 4 total fouls.
Literally impossible.
And 26 in the second half. And not only that, so the game completely changed 9-second span off a few inbounds passes where the referees called 3 fouls on Houston in 9 seconds. And at one point in the second half, they called, I believe, 8 fouls in a row on Houston before Florida got another foul. Yep. And it's just like, that's another thing. It's just not possible. It's just not going to happen. And as I said, I'm not using this as an excuse because we can talk about it in a minute why it's been lost. But it completely screwed Houston in the second half because their MO is getting aggressive and trapping high ball screens and just playing hard on their glass. And they just couldn't do that in the second half of these calls.
Yeah, Lance says the refs were horrible, inconsistent, and meddled in outcome. Not to mention my least favorite phrase by Lance. Just so you're a part of the Dattitude family, this is something you need to know. My least favorite phrase in the English language is not to mention. When you say not to mention it, you are mentioning it. So it's
what's a bigger pet peeve of yours? Someone saying not to mention or Super Bowl being all one.
I knew you were going to say Super Bowl. That is definitely they're very, very close, Gabe. But okay. I would say not to mention because that's all year long. I only have to see Super Bowl as one word really in a short period of time. So Lance also says, by the way, Florida held Roberts and Francis every freaking time in the first half, called nothing. Look, like we said, and when I say it's impossible, it is absolutely 100% impossible to have 4 fouls. Now, it's not impossible to have, if you're a ridiculous, we saw, if you go back and remember, it was Arkansas playing St. John's. If you remember that game, there were like 25 fouls in the first, and I'm exaggerating. It was probably 20 and 20. There was something like 20 fouls in the first half and 20 fouls in the second half, something along those lines. So that's the way that crew's calling it. They're consistent. That's consistently bad. Mm-hmm. But to me, that's at least you know what you're going to get 5 minutes into the game. You know what you're going to get with this. You can't, if you're a coach, how do you say, okay, there's 4 fouls in the first half? If you're making adjustments, your adjustments are, okay, they're not calling fouls. So let's be a little bit more aggressive. And then the next thing you know, 26 fouls in the second half. And by the way, Lance, I am most definitely a complicated guy. I'm a lot of other things too, but I mean, that goes to your point. You can't happen. It's not fair to either team to do that.
And I do wonder, I don't know if we'll ever get this. I wonder if Todd Golden said something about the physicality to the referees at halftime.
Possibly.
And if he did, credit to him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but so?
Yeah, no, I just wonder what the reasoning was for the switch up and the way this game was refereed.
6.5 times the amount of foul calls. You just don't see. You just don't see that. I don't know.
No, you don't.
Anyway, there's nothing that'll grind a coach's gears more than that. I would think that Golden even probably didn't even like that. By the way, Walt says, you were right, Gabe. All right.
Thank you.
Moving on, because I do want to finish with Saints, and I don't want to.
Well, can I just say this?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
The one thing, because I just noted that I would mention why I think Houston lost. The reason I think Houston lost is we praised him so much last week. Kelvin Sampson had a really bad coaching job in this game.
Yeah, I agree.
There were multiple times throughout the first half and multiple times. I mean, Houston, as we mentioned in Man vs. Machine when we made this pick on Monday, Houston was bottom 10 in tempo. They, all season long, and really under Kelvin Sampson the whole time, their MO has been slowing teams down, waiting the shot clock out and getting good shots at the end. Their shot selection was horrible on Monday. They were just jacking up some random shots. I thought Cryer played a pretty poor game.
Yeah, he did.
And
I was disappointed by his play.
They played right into Florida's hands, especially in the second half. They let the game speed up, and Florida thrives in those chaotic sort of games, and we saw that.
Yeah, and honestly, there was a point there where the 12-point lead, I think, went to like 8 or 6, like real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would have been smart, I would have gone to live bet Florida, because you kind of feel it slipping away there. And because of what you were talking about, if live better is really the good ones, I guarantee the live bettors made some money in this game.
I think it was on a fast break dunk that Florida got after a Houston turnover, of which there weren't many.
Yeah.
And you could just feel the energy in the building just get sucked out and go all towards Florida.
All right. Not as much entertainment when you and I agree on something, but it is what it is. All right. Let's see what happens here as we move on to Man versus Machine. Again, for those new to the segment, we've been doing it for a few weeks. We changed it this week. And it used to be Man versus Machine, where Machine would make the pick, and then Gabe would tell us whether he agreed with it or not. We don't like that. We don't think the Machine should tell us what to bet on or whatever. The Machine sucks, and piss on the Machine. So we're moving on. We have changed it, and I like it much better this way. This week we have changed it to, so everybody was wrong on the national championship game, but the way we're doing today's, so we won't know the answer until Monday's show. But Man's pick for today is Colin Morikawa and the Masters, and the Machine will make its pick in a minute. Whoever is closest to the top will get the win. Someone will get a win. Someone will get a loss. Not as usual. Usually they can either both get a win or both get a loss. Not this time. Somebody's getting a win. Somebody's getting a loss. Why do you like Colin Morikawa?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I bet Colin Morikawa the first weekend of March Madness. As someone who doesn't live in a legal gambling state, I have to make my futures ahead of time.
You have to drive to Lake Charles.
Bet Colin Morikawa for the vibes, strictly off vibes. But then when I was reading some of our great content at Sportsbook Review on the Masters, I was really convinced, and I now feel really good about this pick. Because Colin Morikawa the last 3 years has finished 5th, tied for 10th, and tied for 3rd at the Masters. He's got 2 runner-up finishes this season. And I think Rab touched on as well. He leads in some key statistics, both shots gained on tee to green or strokes gained on tee to green, and same thing with approach shots. And that's over the past 20 measured rounds as well as the past 6 months. So I think if you're getting a guy here at, I don't know what you had him listed at, I think 1,700.
Was it
16 or 1,700?
It was. He is 1,600. Yep.
Yeah, I think you get excellent value there for someone who leads in those key metrics and someone who's performed well at Augusta over the last few rounds.
All right, my pick doesn't matter, but I like to throw my 2 cents in. It doesn't make a difference. If Gabe's not here, I have to be man, and then I will make a pick. That's why we don't have Gabe's name in there instead of man. But so far, all the man versus machine segment's been Gabe. So I'll throw my 2 cents in, and I'm going to go a little – I said it before, and I know Rab didn't agree with me, and I know UBN doesn't like to live guys here in the Masters, but the fact that Bryson DeChambeau finished tied for 6th last year, and he's moving up – I like the way he's been playing the last couple of years, not just lately. And so those lift guys got a chip on their shoulder when they come to this. And I think DeChambeau is going to be ready to go here. So that is my sneaky pick, I guess. I am definitely going to go put some money on UBN's picks, though, because he knows more about golf than either one of us. Now,
yes,
we like to do this. What do you think the machine is going to pick?
Scheffler or Rory.
Okay. I will tell you this. I had to go to a second one. Unlike before, where I've been starting with ChatGPT, and then they don't give me they don't like gambling, so I had to ask it different ways. Anyway, I started with Grok this time, and Grok picked Colin Morikawa, so I had to go to a different one. Okay, so I'm like, well, we can't have the same pick. That doesn't work. So I went to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT did give me a pick. And it said Rory McIlroy. And it said the reason being he is in excellent form with 2 wins and 3 top 5 finishes this season. And he's seeking to complete his career Grand Slam. And it says nothing about him choking in past Masters whatsoever. I am not betting on Rory, although I do like, and I can't remember who it was that said it before, I do like the thought of maybe betting Rory as a top 5 pick at plus 150. So I
also like that bet.
All right. So man likes Colin Morikawa.
It's the 3rd time you've mispronounced
Jesus
his name.
Christ. It's not that hard, dude. Colin Morikawa. I'm going to sleep. It's going to roll off my tongue when I go to sleep tonight. The machine likes Rory McIlroy, and I, for what it's worth, which is almost nothing, likes Bryson DeChambeau. So we'll see what happens. And we will see you on Friday. Who knows what your pick will be on Friday?
No clue.
We'll just have fun with it. Who knows?
Yes, we will.
All right. See you then.
All right. Bye.
Back to Saints as we finish up the show here. Look, why not? Got to make some Masters picks. It's the day before the Masters starts. You don't have to, but that's what we do here. And we know that. Look, I've told y'all this before. I can see how many people are watching the show at any given time. Okay. And I know the numbers dropped when we started talking about golf, and then dropped even more when we started talking about something that happened 2 days ago. But we feel like it's necessary to talk about certain things on this show, and we try to have fun with it, and it's going to come around eventually. You're going to realize when we're having fun, you don't want to miss those segments. Man versus machine. I'm telling you, as this goes along, I don't care what our records are. By God, we're going to have fun with it. And we're going to have fun with the final segment in just a minute when I get the last word. Okay. I know there was something else that I wanted to talk about too that I want to make sure that I don't miss here this morning. But my final thoughts on Saints. And look, there's a pretty interesting, and I want to click on it right here. There's a interesting email I got this morning from The Athletic and the New York Times. But Dane Brugler has his quote-unquote NFL draft guide. He calls it the Beast. It's actually worth checking out. If you're subscribed to the Athletic, and you can get a cheap subscription. I'm not just saying that because my good friend Larry Holder, I hope, will be on the show Wednesday. But we'll probably spend more time talking about this now as we're getting really close to the draft. What is it? 2 weeks from tomorrow. But what he does is he gives you his top 10 in each position. And I thought it was interesting to go through some of these and tell you some of the rankings. And you're not going to be surprised at some of these rankings, but maybe some comments on potential Saints picks. Now, we told you earlier in the show, if you were listening, that Will Johnson, between March 31st and April 6th, I don't know where these experts came from. There were, 54, I think I said? They used 54 different mock drafts. And so you're going to come up with a lot of different answers at who's the Saints will draft at number 9. Well, the number one answer was, and it's just 10 of 54, so it's all over the place. Excuse me, Will Johnson. And the two Wills are up there, Will Johnson, Will Campbell, hence why our title is will it into existence. But Will Johnson and Will Campbell combined for 16 of the 54 or so picks. Just goes to show you. But what does Dane Brugler say about, let's start with the offensive tackle, and Will Campbell is his number one tackle. Number 6, ranked 6th overall. He says about Will Campbell what everyone else is saying. Short arms, but wins with athleticism, strength, and competitiveness. That's what he says about Will Campbell. He says, quote unquote, a 3-year starter at LSU. Campbell was a mainstay at left tackle and offensive coordinator Joe Sloan's pass happy inside outside zone scheme. Sounds like it would work here in New Orleans with the new offensive minded coach and Kellen Moore, right? Took starting reps at left tackle from his first day of training camp as a freshman, started 38 games, blah, 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 blah. He says Campbell stays balanced in pass protection because of his weight distribution and control technique, although he can do a better job protecting versus inside counter moves. See his reps versus Kyle Kennard on the 2024 South Carolina tape. Let me tell you something. That game in particular, you should go back and watch that. If you don't, that'll make you not hope they don't pick Will Campbell, that one. His skill set is reminiscent of a more powerful version of Colts left tackle Bernard Ryman. Although some NFL teams project him as best as an interior blocker. I don't think he's going to be a guard. Could be. What does he think about Will Johnson? And he's got Will Johnson as number 2 behind Travis Hunter, who's going to play all over the place. He's got Travis Hunter as his number 1 overall ranked player. That doesn't mean his number 1 overall pick. This isn't a mock draft. He's got Will Johnson as the second best cornerback, 18th in his top 100. He says outstanding eyes, feet, and IQ, should be a day 1 starter. And I think we all agree that Will Johnson's going to be a day 1 starter. Again, I wouldn't go there. However, it's certainly a need now. It might be the second most need in this team. So you can't get upset if that's where they go. He says, quote, a 3-year starter at Michigan. Johnson was an outside cornerback in defensive coordinator Wink Martindale's zone-heavy scheme. Now, Wink Martindale, obviously a former NFL defensive coordinator for many years. Giants, Ravens, an All-American sophomore in his sophomore season, including defensive MVP honors in the national title game. He put up and down play on his early 2024 tape before missing most of his final season because of injuries. Hence why he's dropped down a little bit. He gives him Brugel gives him a grade of 1st to 2nd round. Is that who you want with the number 9 pick of the draft? Although he says he projects as a day 1 starting outside cornerback in the NFL, Johnson is more, quote, good than, quote, great in terms of twitch and speed, but he has outstanding eyes, feet, and coverage IQ to match and make plays on the football. Look, what do the Saints need? Christian says Mel Kiper sucks. Always drafting a quarterback for the Saints in his mock. It still doesn't meet the comment of the day, which was earlier. I got to go find it again. Again, we're doing something here on the fly. I hope I can find it in a hurry. I might not be able to. It was one by someone new. I'm trying to do this live. I probably shouldn't do this live. I don't know where it is. It's up here, further up here. Oh well, I can't find it. It was about it's about the slick back hair wonder. Here it is. Cecil Evans. 15 more sleeps until Mel Kiper Jr. makes an ass of himself for 30 years and plus counting. You see, I mean, if the Saints go draft an offensive tackle, they draft a cornerback, Mel Kiper would be, I'd have to cut out what he said, and he'd be a candidate for dumbass of the week, wouldn't he? I mean, we got to start that. It's got to be next week or the draft week, whatever. We got to do that. Anyway, Lance wants him to trade Genty if he's not available at 9, which he won't be. Trade down and get Johnson. I'm all about this team trading down. I just don't think they're going to do it. That's my opinion. All right, Friday show, and your last couple minutes here to get a comment in if you want to. We're about to go off the air on this Wednesday afternoon. We thanks all of our guests here. We had 3 guests today, and you. It's a lot of guests in one day. I have not reached out to Larry Holder yet. I will later this afternoon. That is my, I'm hoping he's going to be my guest on Friday, but I don't know that. So we'll see. Either way, we are certainly going to talk more about this list on The Athletic. I encourage everyone to go look at it. I know I'm not supposed to tell people to go look at competing websites, but I don't know. Is that really a competitive competing website? I don't know. Just out of curiosity, if you're wondering, Shedeur Sanders is ranked 34th overall. Now that, again, this isn't a mock draft. This doesn't mean he thinks he's going to be picked 34th because he's got Cam Ward 13th. This is his rankings. Big difference between rankings and mock draft. And in case you're interested, Jackson Dart's ranked 49th. Tyler Shaw is ranked 50th. Milroe ranked 73rd. Let's see. What does he say about Jalen Milroe out of curiosity? He's got him as a second to third round grade. He says his upside is tough, and I agree with this wholeheartedly. His upside is tough to measure, but it is higher considering he has the tools to switch positions if his time at quarterback doesn't pan out. Here's the thing with Jalen Milroe, and I got to be honest. I am super intrigued about Jalen Milroe because when I tell you that I think it's 50-50 whether Taysom Hill comes back, maybe a little bit better that he does. I think it's way less than 50-50 that Taysom Hill, even if he comes back, is ever going to be effective again. You don't come back at his age from the injuries that he suffered and come back and be what you were before. Not at his age. Even young guys would have trouble with that. So with that being said, I think that this team could really use, every team could use a player like that, but I would love to see Kellen Moore with a player like Taysom Hill, like the real Taysom Hill. I think Milroe could be better. I'm being straight. I think Milroe could be better. That's blasphemous. Don't say that. I think he could be better than Taysom Hill if he's willing to accept that kind of role. And he'd have to be willing to accept it almost from the get-go. I just don't think he's an NFL-type quarterback. Brian wants to know, is it 0.0 that they trade down? Definitely not 0.0. It makes sense that they would trade down. I don't think they're going to do it because it's not in their MO, but I don't think it's 0.0. Who dat daddy? You just want to see my blood pressure rise, don't you? I don't blame you. If I was sitting where you're sitting, I'd want to too. If I was sitting where you're sitting, I'd probably be rooting for Shedeur just to see me get pissed off. Lance says Taysom is a freak. If anybody can do it, he can. Big if, though. Again, he would have to be willing to do it. Brian Cabot says, in the world before social media, Mel Kiper was the man till we realize he's just a loudmouth talking head who is wrong on 99.9% of his guessing. That's who he is. So last comment here before I get to the last word. I would love to see Jalen Milroe say, you know what? I'm cool with it. That's how I can start right, because he'd start right away. My opinion. I don't think it would take long to get an athlete like that ready to do something like that. But anyway, we're gonna get more into that. We're gonna pick through the beast. We're gonna talk more about this. And again, I don't know if I'm supposed to or not, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna encourage you all you can get a good price at The Athletic. But first, you better subscribe to us first. That's after you subscribe to NOLA.com. Then you go subscribe to The Athletic. You can get a pretty good price on it. Oh, man. This is just mean. This is just mean, Christian. You can at least spell his name right. He says Shedeur Sanders and Arby's are similar. They both suck. Do they both have the meats? That's the question. All right. Last comment of the day, because I'm getting the last word. And when I go to the last word, it means I got the last word. I'm with Gabe. He doesn't suck. I mean, I don't think he sucks. Just don't think he fits what this team needs. It's not what this team needs right now. That's the only reason why I'm not a Shedeur fan for this team. Do I think he's going to be an NFL quarterback? No. But I think don't get me started. I could be wrong on Shedeur. Is someone going to, I hope he goes somewhere where someone gives him a legitimate chance. I will say that. I feel much better about Shedeur Sanders than I do about Spencer Rattler. Don't get me started on that. Last comment of the day. Who dat daddy? Really enjoyed the show. Good stuff. Who dat? I love when we don't agree, and I know that I love when you just pick at me. I do. I love all my brothers and sisters here on the Dattitude family. We have grown quite a regular a group of regulars, and we can't do this without you, and I have fun doing it. The last word. What this segment will normally be here in the coming days and shows and whatever is me opining. Like today, if I were going to do this on a normal basis, I probably would have said something. I would have saved the bit about the Vancouver Canucks and probably showed the clip and talked about. It's not necessarily, it might be about Saints, but it could be about something that happened nationally. It could be my thoughts. Maybe it would have been about the national championship game. Who knows? It might be more times than not, it's going to be something that I didn't necessarily have time to talk about earlier, or maybe they didn't want to hear in the beginning of the show, but I want to expand on. One thing that I've learned in life as I've gotten older that I didn't know until recently, and this has come by the advent of social media. I know, you ever notice on Facebook or whatever, a lot of you don't have Facebook, whatever. If you're on Facebook or you're on Twitter or whatever, and you get into this debate with someone, a lot of times it's with someone you know, whether it's with someone you know or don't know. It's like everyone has to have the last word. And I used to be like that until not long ago. Until I realized that there is so much less aggravation in this world. It just ain't worth getting the last word. In fact, I feel so much better about myself. So really, this is the last word telling you you don't need to have the last word. This is the only time I feel good about getting the last word, because I know that I run this show and I decide what is shown on the screen or said or whatever, and I can decide on this show. But in real life and in the rest of the world, when I get in a debate with someone and I think it's a stupid debate and I just completely disagree with the other person and they're being obnoxious about it or whatever, and they're just going to go on until they get the last word, it's not worth fighting with those people, with anyone. Just in life in general. The best way to have the last word is not to say a damn word. Let them go. And my favorite is when they'll come back at you and you don't say anything and they come back at you again because you didn't say anything. Maybe you didn't hear me. No, I heard you. I'm just ignoring you. I do the same. And I even do it with my son, who I love as much as anyone. I love 4 people in this world more than I love anyone. My wife and my 3 kids. And my son, perfect example of it. And I thought about, this is what made me think about this segment. He's been telling me about all kinds of things. But in particular, he was asking me why I wasn't a fan of Shedeur Sanders. I think he would like to draft Shedeur Sanders. And I said, I don't foresee an NFL. I don't see a future as him as an NFL. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It wasn't Shedeur Sanders. It was Will Howard. He thinks Will Howard is going to be a starting NFL quarterback. That's who it was. And I said, well, that's fine and dandy, but we'll never know because he's never going to be a starting quarterback. Well, he's a huge Josh Allen lover. And he said, well, you said the same thing about Josh Allen, which I never said. But I was in the middle of something and he just kept coming back at me. I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting anywhere. Even my own son. Like, he just kept coming back at me like 5, 6 texts, and I just ignored him. Sometimes the best way to get the last word is to say nothing. So on this show, I am going to say something when I have the last word. It may be controversial. It may not be. It's going to be whatever the hell I want it to be. Just saying. And think about that from when you get in a little tiff, a little tete-a-tete with someone on Facebook, and they keep coming back at you with some stupid, inane comment, and you don't agree with them, and they don't agree with you, and whatever. It ain't worth it. Why get your blood pressure up? Take it from someone who knows how to get his blood pressure up. That's the last word for today. we're going to have coming up on the show again Friday. It's going to be all Saints on Friday. And whatever Gabe has, whatever Fridays with Gabe is, might not be about Saints, and Man versus Machine won't be about Saints, but everything else about Friday, and probably the last word, will be about Saints. So I know that's what y'all want to hear this time of year. And we have what? How many shows do we have before we get to let me think. Do some straw math real quick. I think we have 6 shows. 6 shows left before the draft. A programming note, and I told y'all this before. There will be no Wednesday show next week. Got to go to I got an appointment with my wife that I have to be to. We may do a Thursday show. We may do a short Thursday show next week. We'll see. I'll let you in more. We'll decide by Monday and we'll let you know. But we will be back on Friday. And I hope it's with Larry, maybe another guest. We'll see. And then Monday is going to be Mono-E Monday. And don't forget about our live draft show coming up on Thursday, April 24th. We will be here on this channel, all of our social media channels, and the NOLA.com Saints Insiders channel will be there as well, live on Thursday, April the 24th. The entire first round will be on 20 to 30 minutes before the draft begins, and we will not leave you until the final pick is made. Whether the Saints trade up, if they trade up and make and get the number 1 pick, we'll still be on the entire first round. And we'll see about the second round. We're trying to figure out what we're going to be on that Friday or not. But more on that coming up. You can check all that out. Check out NOLA.com, NOLA.com/sports/Saints. You can check us out on bet.NOLA.com. And as always, you can find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. A reminder to subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. Click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live. Check out all of our shorts. Go to TikTok if you like TikTok. We put them on there as well. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. Everyone, go outside, enjoy the wonderful weather. Thank you for your final comments. Who Dat Daddy, Lance Dobard, Mark Gapsky. We will see you all on Friday. Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.